7 men and 5 women. What hung up those jurors is what we don't know. Certainly, we hope to hear from them. They're allowed to speak after something like this happens. I want to bring in Bob Bianchi, who's a former defense attorney and a former prosecutor, as well as attorney Nicholas Fortuna. We had you both earlier, and we had to cut our conversation short. And I want to start with you, Nicholas, because I want to focus a little bit on this jury pool and the fact that, yes, this was day 11, but it was day 6 of deliberations. And these particular jury members had gone back and forth to the judge at least 12 times, asking a number of questions. And I wanted to ask you, what, when you learned that they were going back and forth to the judge, asking very specific questions, meaning the definition of reasonable doubt, the definition of without her knowledge, what did that tell you when you heard they were asking those questions?
It reflects a debate among the jurors. So there's a difference of opinion between the jurors as to what a particular charge meant, or what was said, or the impression of what was said during testimony. So it gets to a point where they can't resolve it within the jury room. They come back and ask for it to be read, or ask for an explanation from the judge. So you could tell right from the beginning these jurors weren't seeing the case the same way. There was a debate. We just don't know how many people were on each side of that debate.
Okay, but I want to get Bob's reaction, because, Bob, that doesn't necessarily mean that it was split 50-50. There could be one person who was hung up on one thing.
Absolutely. We just don't know right now. It's likely, given the magnitude of this case, that we will find that out. But if you've been doing this as long as I have, what was very clear to me is that they're asking for copious readback. As a prosecutor, this is getting you nervous. You're like, wow, they don't remember the testimony. They're asking for instructions on the law. When this was going on, I said, we are just 1 second away from the ultimate bad question for the prosecution. Can you please redefine reasonable doubt? It was very clear that this jury was putting a lot of time and attention. Maybe there was one juror, maybe there were 7 jurors, who knows now. But it was very clear to me that they were challenging the facts, they were challenging the law, and when they asked for reasonable doubt, it was clear to me it was at a minimum a mistrial, and that's exactly what happened. This prosecutor's case was not well received by this jury in terms of them believing guilt, all 12 of them, beyond a reasonable doubt based on all of that.
Right.
Nicholas, let's talk a little bit about what Mr. Cosby was charged with in this case. There's been 60 women who have accused him in one way or another of sexual assault, almost all of those cases involving the use of some type of sedatives that were given to these women. But in this case, he's charged with 3 counts. Aggravated indecent assault, because Mr. Cosby allegedly used his fingers to have sexual contact with the victim. Count 2, aggravated indecent assault, because the victim was allegedly unconscious or semi-conscious and could not give consent. Count number 3, Cosby gave her an intoxicant that substantially impaired the victim. Hung jury on all 3 of those. Very specifically, what did the prosecution have to prove? What did they fail to prove in this?
Well, a couple of things. I think that there was inconsistency in her reporting of the crime or the alleged crime. There was inconsistencies with her behavior and the allegations that occurred here. She spoke to him or had telephone calls with him some 72 times after the alleged incident. That says a lot to a jury. That indicates that, this is not a person who might have not been attacked. That's circumstantial evidence that something else was going on between them at the time. The other issue is when she was giving the drugs, did she consent to take the drugs? Because, what happens after that, not necessarily is considered, that she couldn't give consent, I'm sorry, but they have to look at what she was thinking at the time when she took the drugs.
All right, Bob, Nicholas, stand by as well. We're looking at pictures.